Hi, I'm Tonja Walker. Welcome to One Day to Love. This week, I have a guest on that you've seen in so many things, including Man of Steel, Ray, Batman versus Superman, State of Play, and so many other things, including Blacklist, which is where I became a huge fan of his. I used to watch that show all the time. I love James Spader, and I really loved Harry Lennix's character. That show ran for 10 seasons, and it was just sensational. It's constantly an on the edge of your seat kind of show. Then I got to work with Harry on a show called Destination Heaven, which we just finished about last year, I guess, and it just came out. I'm in the second episode, but he's in all the episodes. He plays God. We talk about that. And we talk about his relationship with Gina, his beautiful, beautiful wife, who's going to be on the show with him. And it's a great interview. We had a lot of fun together. And I'm trying to get them to come out here to go to the tennis tournament with me. We'll see. He's getting ready to do Inherit the Wind in Chicago. He's a major theater actor and lives in New York, but works in Chicago a lot still. And he's got 4 or 5 different projects going on at the same time. So I'm just excited to see whatever he does next. So stay tuned and please like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me keep the show on the air, and tell your friends and share it and leave me comments and I'll write you back. Thank you so much. Yay! So where in the world are you?
We're in New York. Where are
Oh,
you?
Are you? I'm in Palm Desert. Don't ask me. It's like hot, hot.
I
It's
can
so
only
hot. Oh my God. When I first decided to move here, it was because my husband had passed away. We were going to retire here. And if you ever had anything, I hope you haven't had anything like that happen to you, but you don't know what to do. It's sort of a weird thing. And I never thought I'd have to try to get another acting job again. So I just went, well, I can't afford anything in LA that would make my kids feel like they had a home. So I was able to get a 3-bedroom, 3-bath here.
Okay.
But the intention was to spend the summer somewhere else.
right. Not in
Much anywhere else. So I travel a lot in the summer.
Okay.
How
Yeah,
old are your kids? Maybe you could.
20, 25 and 26.
Oh, okay.
That's wonderful. I mean, it's beautiful. Desert is beautiful. So I get it. I mean, I get it, but I also get the heat in the summer.
6 months of the year, it's beautiful. Right now, it's hell, basically. I have a therapist who says I live at the gates of hell. I said, you're not supposed to say something like that to me. Terrible thing to say.
Well, I'm from Houston, Texas, and it's not much. It's got to be worse. Plus the humidity here too.
I know. But what's New York like right now?
We have the residual effects from the hurricane that hit the East Coast, Debbie. Yeah, so it's pretty glum. It's gray. You can see a little bit out the window, but yeah, it's pretty gray out there. But it's nice.
My daughter Abby works at NBC.
Oh, nice.
Manhattan. And very
down the street from us.
I know, I'm very proud of her. But they won't put her in 30 Rock. They've got her in the Inglewood building.
Oh,
okay.
She's the global client coordinator for everything that they put out for Universal and, Oppenheimer and all that stuff. But it's in the news building. So she's,
oh, wow. Okay.
Don't tell anybody, but she's looking. So 30 Rock so bad. Well, first of all, welcome to the show. I call it One Day to Love now. I started it off at One Date to Love because I had no idea how to date after 21 years of marriage. I don't know if you ever had anything like that happen. Were you married before, either of you?
No.
Close. We were both close, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not married, yeah.
After you spend that long with somebody, and then they're gone, it's your whole life is like not planned the way you thought at all. And so there you go. So I had these really funny, and I'll tell you about that sometime. I had a really funny story about some of my dating app relationships. Haha, if you want to call them. And so I created this funny comedy series, and I wanted to do a show to collect other people's stories about that.
Mhm.
And people that have interviewed me before from the soap opera days said, no, you've gotta go after soap opera people. And I said, I want to get away from that. I want to go a different direction.
Mhm.
And they're like, no, that's your audience. So I started One Date to Love, and I had on couples that everybody hasn't always met the other significant other. And it was very successful. And I used a studio in Malibu, and it was really fun. I did like 11 shows in 2 days. I'm really good at this. I love doing this. And it was really fun. And then there were some people that wanted to talk to me about other things. And so I call it One Day to Love now. And then in my sarcastic humor, I say, well, there's got to be something to love in every day. So anyway, there you have it. So I've been
Well, so here's the question: were you successful in finding love? That's the
for about 6 months out of,
okay, okay,
out of
okay,
the 5 years.
okay.
2 years I was locked up like everybody else with COVID. And then
Okay, so we
everybody,
know to if we know to keep an eye out for you to set you up then.
oh, please, God, please. If nothing comes of this at all, that would just be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh. Gee whiz. So, um, I was a fan of the Blacklist. I think I probably told you that when we were working together on Destination Heaven. I was a really big fan of Harold Cooper, but I don't know if you knew how close I am to Valerie Pettiford.
No, I didn't know that. No, I
Yeah.
didn't know. Yeah, she's great.
We've done cabaret together. We've done acting
Oh,
together. She was on One Life to Live with me. We did a show with Liza together. And I was so happy that she was on your show. And then I looked deeper into your IMDb Pro and all that stuff. I was like, stalking, my job. And you'd worked with her before.
I sure did. Yeah. On Stomp the Yard, I think the movie was called.
Yeah. And you also
Stomp the Yard.
played God before.
Yeah, very in a very
So
small
played God. You're on the cover of the thing. It says God. It says you. And it was a Christopher Nolan thing.
It's not. It's the Black Christopher Nolan. He's a
Different
guy from
Christopher Nolan.
Chicago.
I was like, oh my God, did he work with that Christopher Nolan?
Yeah, a different guy. A
Oh
different
my
Christopher.
gosh, it was beautiful. This Christopher Nolan. It was really incredible. But you've done so many different things. But you started in Chicago. Did y'all meet in Chicago?
No, in New York,
We met
actually.
in New York, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How did you meet, Gina?
Well, Harry was performing on Broadway in a show called Radio Golf, and I separately, I didn't know him. I was invited to go see that play with some friends, and I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's go." And I ended up going with this guy I was seeing, and we enjoyed the show. The show was great. Harry was fantastic, and then a friend of mine said, "Hey, let's meet at this restaurant afterwards." And I said, "Okay, great." Needless to, I did not realize that it happened to be the same restaurant that Harry goes to every night after the show. So
Oh,
I'm at the restaurant with the date. We're sitting at the bar, just ourselves, said hi to my friend. And in walks Harry. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's the guy. I just saw him on this play. We just saw him. So he comes in and he greets my friend, the girl friend who invited me to meet her at that restaurant after the show. And then we were introduced. I told Harry he did a beautiful job. I just saw him in the performance, and we ended up all of us sitting down for a meal that night. And
no.
it was a large group. I mean, maybe there were 6, 7 of us at the table.
I love that
And
about New York. I just love that about New York. I miss
I
it.
do too. It's great. It's just spontaneity at its best. Anyway, we sat down for dinner, and my date and I were kind of on one side of the table, and Harry and his, entourage are on the other side of the table. And so we weren't really speaking for at least the better part of the dinner, but at some point we started to talk, and we started discussing the fact that he was taking I heard him talking, he was saying that he was taking piano lessons, and he wishes he had a device to record the piano lessons on. And I heard this perked my my interest because I was also taking voice lessons and I was recording my lessons with a little device. So I said, "Huh, you know what? I know what you're talking about. You need a device to record. I have one." And he's like, "Oh, you do?" And so we started talking. And so now we're engaged in dialogue about this device and who we're taking lessons from and how's it going. And we started talking about music, and we ended up having a couple of major disagreements. So I'll let Harry tell you the rest.
You did? That night you did?
Oh yeah.
Right
Oh
away?
yeah.
Right off the
Oh,
bat?
yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
supposed to fight with them on the first date.
It
You're
wasn't a
supposed to
fight.
wait a while.
It was a strongly. It was a passionate disagreement,
Oh,
which is actually good for the
my
relationship.
husband loved the
So
word vociferous. It was a vociferous.
we weren't
Um,
vociferous, but we were just we were committed to our positions. I'll say it that way.
okay.
Anyway, we had a disagreement about the proper title of a song.
Oh,
Song. Funkin' for Jamaica, or is it Jamaica Funk? And then we also had a disagreement about Sir Isaac Newton's religious beliefs.
oh,
Was he an atheist or was he an agnostic? So here we are, we're going like, oh no, you don't know, you don't know. And he's like, oh no, you don't know. I used to be a music teacher. And I'm like, oh, but I'm taking the lessons. And the girlfriend says, you guys should make a bet. And whoever wins the bet, I guess takes the other out for a drink or something.
now your
So
date's still sitting here?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you feel sorry for the date, Harry?
No, no, I didn't feel sorry for him.
He didn't read.
I feel sorry for the date.
He didn't
There's all
know
this
that.
going
I
on,
don't
and
think
there's
he
this.
saw the sparks. I mean, that's why you got to pay attention. I don't think he saw the sparks. So his mind and my mind were talking to each other and clashing. But at the end of the day, that evening, Harry and I parted ways, still disagreeing, about these two issues. And I walked away with the date, and apparently Harry said to my friend, "Who was that girl?" And she's like, "Well, that's the girl I was trying to set you up with." So the whole thing was a setup, but
No way.
we did not know, because she didn't tell me, she didn't tell him, which is actually the right way to set somebody up.
It
But
is.
she didn't know that I was bringing a date
Yeah.
in the evening. So Harry ended up getting my email address from my friend,
Yeah.
and he emailed me the next day
Uh-huh.
and said, I looked it up and you were right. See, this is a good thing. You were right. This is how it worked. He acknowledged that I was right, at least on one of the issues. The other one, he still holds that he was right, but we both know that's probably
At
not.
least he gave up a little.
He did. So I'm like, that's a good sign.
This is a
And
great sign. This is a long down the road kind of nice compromise sign.
it is.
Even if you weren't right.
So anyway, I didn't get the email, and it went into my spam folder. 3 days later, my girlfriend calls me and says, "Gina,
Why haven't you gotten
why
back?
haven't you responded? Harry said he sent you an email." I said, "He has my email?" She's like, "Yeah, I gave it to him." And I said, "Okay." Needless to say, the email was in my spam folder. I did find it and read it, and I responded, and we ended up seeing each other 2 weeks later. I'm shortening the story, but we ended up seeing each other 2 weeks later, and then that's when the official phone number was requested, and the loving began.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I saw that you taught at college in Chicago, right? Or did you teach high school in Chicago?
Well, I taught a little bit of high school and a little bit of college, but I mostly taught at elementary school. I was elementary school music teacher mostly.
Did you love
Some
it?
civics. I did love it. I didn't start out loving it. It's a very difficult thing to teach at that level when you're a new teacher. It takes a long time, really, several years to become a good teacher, and so at first it was a lot of growing pains, but I enjoyed certainly the subject of teaching and of music, I should say, and and of civics, social studies we called it. But
Oh, we did too.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. I opened I have 2 kids and I had 3 stepkids. So and I had 2 younger sisters. So I was a teacher's assistant when I was in 1st grade. I helped the kindergarten teacher teach kindergarten. I was just in a public school, but I should have been in a charter school. So they just kept me busy. And I loved it. I loved that. So when I didn't really have to work when I was married. So I wanted to do something important. And I started the Tanya Walker Professional Performing Arts Studio because I wanted my kids to have a monologue and a song so that they could go to New York and audition for the theater. And there wasn't anybody, nobody. And I looked, teaching a monologue and a song for kids. Well, you can't get in the theater in New York unless you have a monologue and a song. So I, paid for all the I didn't make any money. I had 30 something. I paid for the pianist, then I wanted to have an opening number and a closing number and you don't know me yet, but I wanted it to be big,
Right.
So all the kids had an opening number and a closing number, and we did Fiddler on the Roof at the beginning, and the song from Fiddler on the Roof with the clotheslines and matchmaker. And I had one little boy, and everybody else was a girl. And then I got another little boy, and I picked all the songs for him. And the greatest feeling in the world was when this mom came up to me and said, Kara has never been able to stand in front of a group of people and say anything. And you've got her singing a song and doing this monologue. And I said, really? I didn't find her to be real quiet. She said, well, she is. And this was really great for her. And I just thought that was the greatest feeling in the world, to have these kids kind of blossom a little bit. And then they became friends with one another and went on to do great things. Some of them didn't get into show business or anything, but that really wasn't the point. I think that it's really important to be, if you have a little musical background, you learn all kinds of stuff about math and art and working with other people and listening and everything else. So,
the very word education comes from the word educare, which means to draw out, to pull out, to bring something out of somebody. And I think, that's what you're talking about, that you were able to do through the power of craft and art and culture, that you're able, because you gave them a medium with which to do it, to pull something out of them, but otherwise, lay dormant within them. So yeah, that's the purpose.
Yeah,
I also think being able to stand up in front of people and perform, creates a certain confidence. I think the mother was alluding to the fact that perhaps she didn't feel confident to do that prior to your.
You have to do that in school all the time. You have to do that. Do you guys have anything to drink?
Not yet, but we're okay.
Sorry, if you were here, I'd give you something.
Like, is there going to be a delivery? I mean,
yeah, I don't know. If I had the address, there would have been, because that would have been fun. So anyway, I love doing that, and I love reading about you. I have these really ridiculous glasses that my sister gave me that I think are fun.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah,
So what were you in Man of Steel?
So in Man of Steel, I play a character by the name of General Swanwick. I am the commander of, I think it's CENTCOM, Central Command. There's NORCOM, CENTCOM,
I have to go see that again. I have to go see. That's been a long time ago. And
by the time I get to Batman versus Superman, though, I'm the Secretary of Defense, Swanwick. And then by the time we get to the third installment, Justice League, I'm Martian Manhunter.
Did you love it? Did you love it?
I loved it. When I was a kid, my favorite superhero was Superman.
Yeah.
Later it became Spider-Man, but Superman was my first sort of introduction to superheroes. And who didn't want to be Superman? I wanted to fly.
Who didn't want to be Lois Lane? Good Lord, that was a great character. And there's a song that she sings that do you know the song?
Oh.
Can you read my mind?
That song.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really hot song, really good song. So, State of Play, what's that?
State of Play was a movie by it was a remake actually of a British film. I think it was called the same name, but in this
Oh,
case,
I love British stuff. I'll have to watch that one. I've
do
seen
you?
all these other. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
BritBox girl.
You're a Brit. Well,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
might
it
have
is.
seen it on Brit. I don't know if there was BritBox when we made that movie.
Maybe not, but I can get it. I can get it. Now I really want to go over there and work. I want to go anywhere and work, but I
It's hard
really,
to-
I
yeah,
think they probably like me better over there than they do over here. I don't know what's going on. When I first got to Hollywood, oh, it was like this for 20 years. Boom, 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 boom. I was never out of work for more than 3 weeks, and I haven't worked at all.
oh, really?
I
Yeah.
don't have an agent. I don't have a manager. I have a bad agent, a bad manager. No, I keep such secrets on TV. It's hysterical. No, they just, you know. So I've got to go knock on some doors. That's my plan. I've got to go bang on the door, and I couldn't bang on any doors during COVID or the next year.
Right.
So see if I can find somebody, introduce me to somebody. That's how it works, I think. So Ray, I just thought Jamie Foxx was killer in that.
It was great in it.
Wasn't he?
There
Wasn't
were
he?
times I looked over sometimes and didn't, I couldn't make the distinction between him and Ray Charles. I was like,
Me,
oh, it's Jamie.
were you surprised? I was surprised.
No, I mean, I wasn't surprised. I knew what a talented actor he was,
You did? I've never
Well,
seen him in anything that extraordinary. So I didn't know it was going to be that fabulous.
I think by that point he had done several sort of dramatic roles, but even looking at him on in Living Color, that sketch show
Yeah, it
that
was funny. It was funny and all that, but this was like,
yeah,
holy mackerel. This was
yeah.
like for Cadaver, your Ray Charles.
Yeah, he's a great mimic. So, like I knew that he could do that, but I think he tapped into something even more than mimicry. He was really channeling,
Yeah,
Ray Charles. Yeah.
yeah. Then there's more of those happening, but I don't like it when they come out at the same time. When there's like an Elvis and then there's another Elvis, or when there's a
Right.
Patricia and then then there's another one. I like it. I think it'd be better if everybody would talk to each other. And so I'm going to put out mine this year and you can put out yours next year. Because when they're all at the same time, I don't think it serves anybody. Did you love Destination Heaven, how it turned out?
We did. I
Yeah,
think
we
we could
did.
both say
It
we
was
did.
Thought it
great.
was fabulous.
It was so charming.
It was very sweet. It was very charming.
Yeah, it took a long time. I was waiting for some tape on myself
Yeah, yeah.
for a year and a half.
Well, you got it now, Tony.
Finally, yeah, it's. And then they're like, "Do you have a Southern accent?" I'm like, "No." And you play a strong person. I'm like, "I only played a bitch for 20 years. This is just my first dumb one, please."
You're hilarious in it, by the way. You and Doug both are hilarious
no,
in
it's
it.
a, you
It's
guys
so
have,
touching.
Oh, we loved it. We just
Yeah.
loved, and we really loved each other. We had a great time with one another. And he cracks me up.
He's amazing.
He's good.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is. I mean, so are you.
Gina was very happy, by the way, that her part remained in there. She thought she was cut out of it when she first.
They would not dare cut you out. The
I was
director.
like, I didn't see myself. And then Harry's like, what do you mean you did? I was like, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, let's watch it again. So then I said, oh, there I am. Okay,
There you were. That's right. That's right. But you were in all of them, right? And at the beginning, well, God's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning, when I first auditioned for it, and then it was done, I kept going, "What's going on? What's going on?" And they said, "Well, they like your all's episode the best, and they want to put it out first, and we don't want it to be first because it was supposed to be last." So do you know what the story was in between?
No, I mean, I talked to David A.R. Knight, and I did an interview with him, something like this, what you and I and Gina are doing here. But he said that the same thing, that they had tested them and that people liked, I Will Follow him, best. So, but I don't know.
So then
I
they
don't
just
know
put
what
it
the
out
story
for
is.
like another year, and they must have worked on all the other ones because they're all just as good as anything else. I mean, they're all just great.
Well, I'm partial to the one that we did, Tonja. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Coming from God, that means so much to me.
That's right.
And coming from you. So the other day when I called, Gina said he's in rehearsal. And I didn't want to be nosy, but what's he in rehearsal for? What are you rehearsing?
So there's a podcast, and there are several of them. I think this is the 16th such podcast of Shakespeare's plays.
Oh,
And yeah, so we're setting Julius Caesar in a kind of in the modern world, but kind of in the Black Power movement, during that frame where the civil rights movement and the Black Power movement are sort of struggling for primacy. And that's the setting of this Julius Caesar, although most of it is still Shakespeare's language. But we're doing it as podcast. It's 7 episodes. They broke it up into 7 different segments, but we rehearsed for about a week, and now we're actually recording them.
yeah, I just finished one called Forever and a Day that I just did for fun because somebody asked me to as a favor. And I enjoy doing audio stuff. I sort of prefer, video.
Off camera.
Yeah. But what I found with the one I was in, and you probably won't have this problem with the one you're doing, is that if there's too many characters and you can't see them, and there's so many characters, then when
Right.
this voice comes in and this voice comes in and this voice comes in, and even if they give them names, I mean, it's really hard to figure out who's who. And I think that can be a problem. So as long as there's a limited cast and it's really clear who everybody is to whoever's tuning in to listen to it, I think they've got to be careful about that.
Yeah. Yes, I will.
Because I was watching this,
That's
I
mine.
was listening to the one I was in, and I was like, well, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is.
Who's this person and that?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's your mom. Oh, that's your dad. That's your daughter. I'm like, okay then. Because if you don't watch them all, it's not like on TV where you know exactly who everybody is. Speaking about who everybody is, when you were working with James Spader, and at the beginning at the very beginning, it was like you almost thought he was the dad of I can't remember her name off the top.
Elizabeth Kane, yeah.
Yeah, Elizabeth, yeah. And that went on and that went on. And then there was this question about whether he was married to what was the mother, or and all that stuff. But then it sort of took a different turn where he was trying to help you find terrible bad guys. And it went from you really don't like this guy to you kind of do like this guy.
Mm.
What was that arc like to play for you?
I think, for me, it's the classic sort of, if it were a Western, it would be Gunsmoke, or it would be Butch Cassidy, not Butch Cassidy, it would be Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, where they're on opposite sides of the law, but they realize that without each other, they're nothing. And I think that it's a slow realization on both of their parts. But that's what it was like, where you come to recognize that without the crime, there'd be no use for having cops. We exist because, for every wall of defense that we build that's 100 feet, somebody's going to build a ladder that's 101 feet, right? So this is a never-ending thing. So I think that yin and yang aspect, got a chance really over the course of 10 seasons to play itself out. And where, it's interesting, you kind of bring up the fact that we're enemies in a way until the end. But I think that Cooper and Red, that's the primary relationship. We've known each other more than anybody else, or longer than anybody else in the show. We go back before Elizabeth Kane was even born, whether or not she's his daughter. And I think that she is. I think that they're related, but that said, I think that that Cooper always loves him, and that or respects him.
Right.
And Red loves Cooper, even if they don't like each other,
Right.
that there's this codependence that they have on each other, and that the reluctance eventually fades away. And that's the ending of at least their story. And I think the same can be said for Elizabeth Keene and Reddington. They don't always like each other, but they are obligated to each other. They have to have each other. There's one cannot exist without the other thing. So I think that that's really who Reddington is. He's an anti-hero, a demigod in a way, a kind of necessary quantity that gets people to the realization of their own self-realization. He helps them reflect to themselves who they are.
Well, I was always a horrible, 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 person who was never a horrible person. I could always make sure that people that watched the show understood why I was doing what I was doing, and it came from a place of pain,
Right.
and family. And I remember once I was on General Hospital at the time, and I was supposed to get killed off constantly, and we were my mom and I were at like a drugstore, and I bought some milk and something else, and something else. The cashier looked at me and my mom. Mommy was visiting. She goes, "You drink milk?" And my mom said, "What do you think she drinks? Blood?" She goes, "Well, I just never thought she'd be drinking milk. That's all. And because I just played a pretty evil person, but everybody could see why. And I continually developed the ability to see the other side of everything all the time. And it's never written, at least it isn't in daytime. It might be written a little bit more in nighttime, but in daytime, they're cranking out 100 scripts a day, 100 pages a day. You know what I mean? So if you want subtext, you write subtext, and then when they see it, then they write it. So that's kind of the thing I miss the most, is the almost invisible collaboration. Because I went into a insane asylum in another show, One Life to Live. And when I came out, I got tired of playing the same kind of part. So I decided she was going to have a sense of humor. So I had the same words to say, but there was something a little off. And it was fun. And they liked it. And so people laughed, so I went from, the villainess to the comedian, and it was still the same part. Those are some of the best days of my whole life. If you love acting as much as I do, and I'm sure you do, your life doesn't seem right without it. So I need to get back to that,
Yeah.
But meanwhile, it's wonderful to get to do something, because I love people. And I just thought you guys were amazing. Could you believe they gave us, I found this. Do you still have your key to the city?
I still do.
Yes, of course. No one's ever given me a key to the city.
That was really cool.
Wasn't that the coolest thing?
That was really nice, yeah.
And I kept getting it in the back of the line. I'm like, nobody knows who I am. I've got this tiny kid, key on, and they're like, "No, get over here, get over here." I'm like, no, it's them, But God, it was an honor.
If I remember correctly, you had your fans there, didn't you, that day?
I didn't mean to.
But you had your fans there.
I didn't have any friends. I mean, they might have been fans, but I didn't have them there. They were just there, I guess. But I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We, this is particularly in this end of it, the electronic media, where
Yeah.
we go out all over the world, and that's for all time. I mean, it's only 100 years old or whatever, this
right.
ability to record ourselves like this, but people are watching, people see it, and and it can happen at any time. And that's one of the ways I think that acting keeps us alive forever. Like it's in its own way. I guess the reason that I became an actor is because you never die. You're eternal. You're, in some way. So that's what I love.
You ever watch Johnny Carson on YouTube?
Oh, I love Carson. I watch those old
You ever
clips.
watching Gina on YouTube?
No, I don't, but I'm
have to
interested
do it.
to
You
know what
have
you're going to tell me.
Don Rickles is on there. He would never get a job. He wouldn't get arrested now. You know, right? He'd be in
Right,
jail. He'd be because he was inappropriate to the max. It was all about inappropriateness. And Zsa Zsa Gabor. He always had Zsa Zsa Gabor on, and Sammy Davis. He had Sammy Davis on all the time.
Rodney Dangerfield was my favorite guest.
Oh, forget about it. I mean, it was just all the people he had on. And then all of a sudden the other day I'm watching and John Wayne
Right.
pops in.
Luke.
I'm like, holy cow, there's John Wayne. And that's the same thing that Johnny Carson said. He's like, John Wayne. And the audience was like nuts, Well, I just happened to be in the neighborhood and I thought I'd stop by. How y'all doing? And he's I just thought that the back and forth with everybody and everybody stayed on the couch. I mean, I grew up with this. So that's why I love doing this. It's just something that I enjoy a lot,
Yeah.
It's pretty great that people can do this. Like you can want to create your own show, your own podcast and, and do it. And it's fun and you can invite people and people want to participate and it's interesting. You can talk and, ask questions and say things differently than you would be if you were in some more, kind of highly constructed show. So I think it's really cool that you've done this.
Thanks. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah.
Hoping that other people are also. So do you ever go back to Chicago? Are you going to be doing theater in Chicago? Because I read in something here you're doing something in Chicago. Am I wrong?
I did a couple of plays this past spring in Chicago at the same time. Yeah, I did 2 at once, and then I'm on my way.
2 at once.
Yeah, I did 2 at one time.
Did you go on vacation? What did you do, Gina? Your husband?
I was there. I was there.
My daughter's in the Alps right now. I'd like you to go to the Alps, and maybe you could put me in your suitcase.
Oh,
my daughter's in the Alps.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's great.
She sent me something this morning. Mom, I'm in the Alps. I'm sending you a photo. And she's in the house with her friend's grandma. She goes, I'm here with Nona and Lotta. We just took a 3-hour nap and we're going out. And
she's living her best life, sounds like.
She is. Here's a picture of the Alps. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I've been a lot of places, but I've never been to the Alps. Right?
It's pretty cool.
You have?
I had to climb the Alps, actually.
What?
Yeah, it was a work event.
It was a work event? What kind of an event do you have to climb the Alps?
It was a crazy event. It's a crazy thing. I used to work for a Swiss company headquartered in Switzerland. And if you are new to the company, within the first year, you have to go on a trek with the Swiss. And this trek is in the Alps and you're climbing a mountain. They're like, oh, it's fine. Just everybody does it. Just come, it's like 3 hours. It'll be great. It's like this. So they are used to climbing these Alps like it's nothing. Like you just see old people and they're just have their sticks and they're climbing. But for me, it was really hard. So anyway, it is beautiful though. So
it was all green. I always imagined it being snow covered and stuff, and it was green and gorgeous and beautiful.
Yeah, this time of year, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. She went to the American Academy of the Dramatic Arts, and she went to the one here. And her best friend was named Lotta Leggero, and she's from Milan. So they ended up being roommates. I got to be friends with her parents, and we got them an apartment in Hollywood. You know how much I hate Hollywood. They wanted to be in Hollywood. I'm like, where are you going out tonight? Oh, we're going to this restaurant. Where is it? Hollywood. I'm like, could you please go to Brentwood? Just oh my God, I was a nervous wreck. So then the other guy, who was a friend of theirs, who I love this guy, okay? I don't think it's going to happen, but this would really work for Mama. Okay. He plays a piano like nobody's business. He works for Steinway. He just did Phantom of the Opera in London. He plays Phantom of the Opera. He's incredibly incredibly talented.
Oh,
He sings, he acts, he plays, he's amazing. He's always working. He's got this huge, wonderful family. They have this gorgeous house. She goes to visit their friends. Okay. So, and then he'll come here and visit, they all come here and visit. I'm like, what? Why can't you guys like, they don't have the thing, whatever the thing is yet. And she has another friend from England whose name is Tallulah. And so she and Tallulah and Will, and then there's a girl I love from Serbia, and they get together all the time, and they, once or twice a year. And then Bella goes over there for 3 weeks and hangs out at all these different wonderful places. And I just think that's so fabulous,
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's great.
And it does. We don't have the money for this. She pays her airplane fare, and then everybody just takes her places. They live there. And I was noticing that when I was there, I went last year for her birthday, that I felt totally different when I ate the food there than I do when I eat the food here. And I was reading about that today in online, about the differences in preservatives and pesticides and all that.
Yep.
I don't know why we don't take better care of that. I don't know. I guess I do know why. Is it so?
You know why?
Yeah, you know why.
So we get sick and go to the hospital? Is that the idea? We get sick and die and need doctors or medicine. I think it's terrible, because when you go over there, you eat the same thing and you lose weight.
Yeah, it's a lot cleaner over there. The food is a lot less processed than it is here.
They also don't allow things there that they do.
Yeah, no, they won't allow it. Exactly. Yeah.
I think that really kind of.
And they eat less as well.
Well, I don't know. The people I was with were pigging out. They were eating this big huge steak. It's like this big. They call it something I can't remember, and and they want you to eat it raw. I can't do that.
Steak.
I'll have to look it up, and say, but it's a delicacy.
Tartar, probably.
No. I know tartar. No, this is different. This is a big old piece of meat, and they put it, they go like this over the flame with it.
Right, they like blow on it. Like, here you go.
And they're like, it's supposed to be raw. I'm like, no, not me. So what is next for you? Are you interested in doing another series, or more theater, or more movies, or what?
I'm actually interested in
Directing?
going into producing and
Yay!
A little bit of directing, yeah, but mostly
You were so good at it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
You knew exactly the right thing to say, and you were very encouraging and completely believable. I never felt like you were blowing sunshine up my skirt. I really believed that you thought it was good. You thought it was good. And when you wanted something else, you got it. And everybody felt that way.
Oh, good.
Nice.
I just worked with a terrific director. I work with great directors all the time, but there's a guy named Mario Van Peebles, who's a very famous.
Of course.
And he was able to direct and act at the same time. So that was the first time I ever directed and acted at the same time. But he's so good at it that I'm now inspired to do it more.
Well, you have to. Yeah, I've been writing a limited series for 3.5 years with a partner up in Quebec, and it's a thriller, but it's a family-oriented thriller that's similar to my life, and it travels all over the world, and it's really neat. And I just think it would be really fun to have, the part that I wrote, and at least produce it, if not direct it. But I would love to direct more. I just need to work. But anyway, that. But the thing is the idea of being on both sides of the camera in some capacity, after you've done this for decades, it's you see things. I see things different.
Right.
I would never have known anything that I know now if I hadn't seen so much.
Right.
I can visualize this and visualize that, just like you. You can visualize this, visualize that. You can see what they want. You can see what the possibilities are, and you can actually see the picture in your mind. So it makes it a little bit easier. I think if it was too early in my career anyway, I would have been freaked out completely. But after you've done it a lot, acted a lot and been on a lot of sets. It's sort of a natural thing. And I love working with directors that were actors, don't you?
I prefer it generally.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Because
Yeah, it's a shorthand, a short a way of communicating or not communicate. You don't have to say certain things when you're an actor. So.
Yeah. Have you ever worked with Martian Manhunter?
No, I never have. No.
She directed a couple episodes of One Life to Live, and it was a blast working with her.
Wow.
It was just, I was fangirling a little bit because I've seen her in every Neil Simon show that there is,
Yeah, she's great.
And Valerie, I go see her at anything that she's doing. I mean, I just adore her. She's amazing. So
I hear, by the way, that Valerie Harper used to live in this building that we're in. Not Valerie Harper.
Oh, wasn't she the greatest? I love
her.
My gosh.
Remember her? She was Rhoda.
She was Rhoda. She was Mary Tyler Moore's best friend.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And she was hysterically funny. And all of those women really paved the way for the rest of us. I mean, Mary Tyler Moore and
I know she is now.
And who else?
The Arthur, of course.
Marlo Thomas.
Marlo Thomas.
She was like the first single woman who had a TV show without a husband, and she had a boyfriend. Then it was Mary Tyler Moore. She was a single woman, and she didn't have a husband, and she had a job. And Lou Grant came from that, and then Rhoda also. Jewish
Linda Lavin and Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore.
Yeah, I mean, those were all breakthrough. But women always had to have a husband, and in that era, that's why I have a lot of political. But I'm a very political person, and I get in trouble for it, but I can't help it. I worked my ass off, and I'm sure you worked on your things. I worked on my things. I was very active in women's rights, very, very active. And I stayed up all night and watched. You remember the Battle of the Sexes with Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs?
Yeah.
You're too young to remember that, aren't you?
I don't remember it. No.
Okay, so Billie Jean King.
I'm aware of it though.
Nobody knew she was gay. Okay. And Bobby Riggs was just, I think he was probably a put on ass more than he was a real ass. But do you remember this? This was huge.
I remember it very well. As a matter of fact, I met Billie Jean King for the first time at the U.S. Open last year.
You did?
I have a picture with her. Yeah, I'll have to find it and send it to you.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
She's a tiny little thing at this point in her life, but
she's had such a big influence. Yeah. She really has.
Huge, right?
Yeah.
And I got to sit in her box once because Ed and I, our kids went to school with Chris Everett's kids and down in Florida, and at one of those spring auctions they had, they could auction off her what she was donating to the spring auction. So we got it. And so we got to stay and sit in Billie Jean King's box at the US Open one time because Chris put it up for, but I go to the tennis out here every year. Do you ever come out here and go to the tennis in Indian Wells?
I have not
No.
gone out to tennis. No.
So much fun.
I bet it is fun. That does sound like fun. Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to host you out here.
We do US Open here, but I've never been to the one out there. That would be a lot of fun.
They've got Nobu. Nobu's there. Everybody's there. Everybody, all the restaurants open up their own restaurant in there, and there's music.
What time of year is it?
In the spring.
In the spring, okay.
March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. We may take you up on that offer.
Never miss it. I would love to take you. It's so much fun. I love it so much. And then now you don't want to be here. Now is a bad idea.
I'm sure you know. Yeah.
No, it's a bad idea. So the next thing we can see you in is, do you know?
The next thing I'm going to be in is in Chicago. If you happen to be out that way, it's Inherit the Wind. That wonderful play.
Yeah.
Also a movie, the movie with Frederick March and the great Spencer Tracy. Both of them are great. But who else is in it? Gene Kelly's in the movie. But anyway,
yeah.
yeah. It was. So I'm doing that in Chicago this fall. So in September and
Steppenwolf?
October.
Are you in is it the Steppenwolf Theater?
This time it's the Goodman Theater where I
Oh,
got
the
my.
Goodman. Oh,
Uh,
some of my best friends are from Chicago. Yeah.
I
And
wouldn't go saying that too loud, Tanya. You get in trouble.
why? Why?
Actually, you know, the Democratic National Convention is going to be there start next week. I think it's starting next week.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting
Yeah, it is.
under the circumstances, you know.
Yeah, it is. Yawn, yawn. I'm not excited. I'm scared, you know. I just, you know, but there's nothing I can do about it except make a lot of noise. And that's
We didn't make it this way. It wasn't up to us.
yeah, that's right.
We
That's
got to play the
right.
hand we're dealt. That's all.
That's exactly it. Just like anything else in life. That's right. So Inherit the Wind is in if people want to see you, it's in Chicago and it opens when?
September 14th, I think. Yeah.
God, I'd love to come in for that. I'll see what I can do.
Come in
we'll
for
be
it.
there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be a blast. I would love to see you in that.
Come. That'd be wonderful.
I love Chicago. I just wish it hadn't gone to pot in the past couple of years, but I'm hoping it pops back up. So what are you doing now, Missy? Beautiful lady.
What am I doing now?
I saw
I'm
you have these beautiful artistic things that you make, that you sell. Is that for charity?
No, it's not for charity. No. I'm kind of getting ready now for so I have two businesses, two small businesses. One is wrapping paper, which
That's
we're
the
going to
one
get
I
kind
saw.
of
So it was
geared back up for the holidays. Yeah.
was
Cocoa
beautiful.
wraps.
Yeah,
So,
Cocoa Wraps. It's CO. Sorry,
that's right.
WRAPS.
WRAPS, yes. And so the holidays is the big season for that. So I'm kind of gearing up for that now. And then I also have another business called Bejeweled Home, which is also set to relaunch. So I'm just busy trying to
Well,
get
send
them.
me all the info so I can put it out in the world.
We'll do.
Okay, don't forget. So happy
Yeah.
to see you. You're so beautiful.
It's so good to see you too. We had such a good time.
She's a beautiful
Such a
woman.
good
She's a
time.
beautiful woman, I tell you.
So sweet.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. Thanks for being here
Great,
today.
Tanya.
Thank you for your time, everything. I'll see you
Okay,
again. I hope.
hopefully we'll see you in Chicago, and if not, we'll see you in Indian Wells.
That would be great. That would be really great.
Okay.
God bless you all. Take care.
Thank you. God bless you
Tanya.
too.
Great to
Take
see
care.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.